Greetings, Israel, adopted, grafted, heirs, joint heirs, natural, spiritual. Hope that this video finds you all well today. It's Sunday morning, first day of the week. A lot of people worshiping the sun today. Okay, I'm back. I don't know what happened with that. Don't know why that did that, but we're back. So I titled this Studying. I hope you're back with us, Miss B. I don't know if you are or not. There was a couple others here. John Ponce. How you doing, John? It's buffering. Okay. It's buffering. Kaya Key, shalom. How you doing? Okay. Looks like I'm back. Okay. So, you all hit the like button when you come in. I appreciate it. How studying objectively. Thank you. Studying objectively. This was on my mind because I've got a couple of things that I'm going to be studying, and I thought I would just share with you all how I study and how I read books very quickly, just like this. And I'm going to share that with you because I want whatever I know, I like for other people to know. So, how you doing, Tobiah? So let me just share this with you. When I say studying objectively, let me take study number one. But let me give you a little background. When I was a late bloomer. When I first went to college, I was kicked out. My parents were basically military, and when my father went into the military, at the time, all you were required to have was an 8th grade education, I believe, is what he told me. But anyway, most of his other education he obtained while in the military. So I didn't have anybody to guide me through college. I had there's 5 of us as siblings, and great, Miss B. Glad to have you back. I went buffering for a minute. So when I first went to college, I just, it was like culture shock because he makes you go to class, and you can just go if you want to get up. I would see people get up and walk out, and I just thought that was cool. I was on the campus, and I went to the University of Kentucky. And I was on the campus, and the campus was big, and, it was like, this was just amazing, to me. It was a culture shock that, it was even shocked to me that so many people were disciplined. All that to say, they kicked me out. It was so bad, I got on academic probation, and I thought when I got the letter, because I had probation, I thought it was because I had tickets I hadn't paid for. That's how naive I was. Needless to say, when I went on and through life, and I eventually was able to get a career in public government, and then what I did was I went to school late. I went to college late because in order to advance, they were saying you have to have a 4-year degree and this and that. So I did. I went to go do it. But what I also learned when I got my associate degree, I was a C student. I was happy to just see my way through. But, it wasn't good enough because I started hearing people that, I graduated with Cum Laude, Magna Laude. I didn't even know what that stuff was. You know what I mean? So it's basically you got like a 4.0 average. So I prayed, and I learned how to study. And this is how I learned how to study, to be honest with you. I learned how to study because someone who had just completed a course, I bought their book. And inside of their book, they said, here, you want to buy the book? And I said, yeah. And they said, here, you can have the notebook too. And what they had was the previous test. So I tried to get to the person back because I said, hey, your tests are in here. But I couldn't find them. So I was getting ready to throw the test away. But I realized they were the test. I mean, like the actual test. They were the test. I mean, like the actual test. When they took it, and when you take a test, the instructor gives it back to you. It was the actual test. And they had the grade on it. So what I did was, I said, wait a minute. I took the test. I retyped the test without the person's answers and the marks on it and stuff like that. And I looked at it, and I looked at the book, and I saw something. I saw something that just stuck out at me. And what had happened, the book or the test was basically, you could look at the outlines from the chapter and study the outlines without reading everything. So for instance, chapter 1 would have a big bold heading as to what's in the chapter. It might be like 4 ways to wash clothes, okay? And then it would have hand wash. It would have, don't laugh, Miss B. It would have hand washing, machine washing, tub washing, and creek washing. I'm just using this as an example. And then when you read it, you know, I realized that you don't have to read the book, just study the headings. So it would be like ways, like it wouldn't even say 4 ways. It would be like something like ways to wash clothes. And then would have those 4 subheadings, okay? And then again, tub washing, hand washing, creek washing, machine washing. And when I studied the headings, I realized, okay, which you get a test like, which one of the following is not a way to wash clothes? And, you know, if you knew the 4 headings, then you know which one is not, okay? And so that's how I realized that I'm reading and falling asleep, study the headings. So that was important to me. And when I started to do that, I developed my system. I would get the book, and when I would get the textbook from school, I would open it up and I would write down chapter 1, and I would write down the headings and all of the appropriate subheadings underneath that, and that's what I studied. And I started to make A's. In fact, I almost thought that I was cheating because I didn't read the books. I actually thought I was cheating. But I realized I was learning so much because all of the words in between was just fill-ins. It was just, it would tell you about the heading. But the test was always on the headings, not the material that was underneath the headings. And so I made I had a 3.9 average. I got cum laude as a 4-year degree. When I did my master's degree, I was so motivated. I kept going. I got another 3.9 average, cum laude. And so I really learned, and I took that over into studying the Bible. So so I became a student that was kicked out of college to a student that was cum laude when I graduated both of my 4-year and master's degree. So I took those same principles to when I studied the scriptures. And I also realized that each course is 32 hours. Each course in school is 32 hours. So that's why when they have 16-week semester, 16-week semesters, and you go to school for each class, and it would be 2 hours. So 2 times 16 is 32. In college, some of your courses would be like on a Monday and a Friday, or a Monday and a Wednesday. So you go for an hour on one day and an hour on the next day, but that was still 2 hours for that week. Some classes, so people would take 4 or 5 classes, and they would be covering 15 credit hours or 12 credit hours a week, a semester. What I did as an adult, when I went to as adult education, I went 8-week semesters, but the class was once a week, 4 hours, like 6 to 10, per class. So if I had 2 classes, I went on a Wednesday from 6 to 10, and maybe on a Thursday from 6 to 10. And so when you do that, if I had 2 classes, so you go 4 weeks, 4 hours a week times 8, that's 32. So however you break it down, it's still going to be 32 semester hours. So I started to say, let me apply 32 hours in any subject that I study in the scriptures, any subject. So if I study on baptism, I'm going to put 32 hours of studying into it. And I'm going to study it from A to Z. Now, the Bible is a little bit different because you don't have a chapter in the Bible on baptism. You just don't. So what I do is I'll get the Blue Letter Bible. There's an app called the Blue Letter Bible. Computer, or you can put it on your phone. It's for free. And the reason why I like the Blue Letter Bible as a search tool is because you can put in a certain word, and every place that it appears in the Bible, it will let you know the book, chapter, and verse. The other thing I do is I also use the Bible Gateway app, or you can put it on your desktop as well, because most people study from the computer now. You do most of your studying from the computer, or if you're just out with your smart tablet. Of course, I always use my Bible because there's nothing like reading it for yourself beyond the screen. That kind of helps me out a little bit because I can read above and below it and get more in-depth understanding. So that's one of the other things that I do. So when I look at the Blue Letter Bible, I'll get all of the scriptures in order, like going from Genesis to Revelation, that's relevant to that one particular word, okay? And pretty much they're in the same subject, and you can read them and find out. Now you start taking your notes, because you're going to find out more on that particular subject. You'll find out what Jesus said about baptism, what happened about baptism. Romans is a good book. I think the 7th chapter, 6th or 7th chapter, when it comes to baptism and what baptism is really about. So once I do that, I'll write it down. Now this reading time and research time and taking note time is a part of your 32 hours, okay? Because when you're actually writing down something, it's been logged here. When you're actually reading something, it's logged down here. So you don't have to really study to memorize it. just the fact that you're studying and reading is recall, okay? So repetition is another way of just recall. Now, once I've read everything, I start to go back and look at it. I even look up certain words, and I may even read the entire subject, and I may also get a dictionary, and I may get other look up other words, is what I'm saying. I may look up other words that's within that verse. Okay? And a dictionary is always good to have, a Bible dictionary, and, you know, just to kind of get some understanding. Commentaries are very dangerous because we read more commentaries than the word, and we find ourselves depending more on the perspective of the commentator and not necessarily from the perspective of what the scriptures are saying. And we can get lazy. I used to do that, and that's a bad thing to do, because you can look up baptism, and then especially in Strong's or Easton's, these are names of commentary books or Bibles with commentaries, you'll find yourself reading from the opinion of the commentator, and that's all it is. It's just their opinion. Okay, now I've learned to have confidence in my own understanding of the word, because you can read a commentary and they will say, when you read the Sabbath, the word on the Sabbath, they'll say right in there, so the Sabbath was changed. The Christian Sabbath is now Sunday. It was changed from the Jewish Sabbath due to the resurrection of Christ on the first day. Well, that is just as backwards as you can get it, especially when you know he didn't rise on the first day. So I said, you can't read commentaries. You cannot read commentaries. You just really have to pray and read. How do you do it objectively? Take out everything that you've ever been taught. Remove it. Take out your own ideology. And I give you an example. I use this example when it comes to how do you read objectively. You get a good third grader. My daughter's in second grade, and she's on a fourth grade reading level. But if you get a good third grade reader, and give them the scriptures, and just give them Exodus, the 20th chapter, and let them start to read about the Sabbath, where it says, remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days and do all your work. And then they say the 7 days of Sabbath. And ask that child, take a calendar and show me the 7th day. Which day is the Sabbath? And that child who just has no skin in the game, they have no opinion, they have nothing. They're going to give you from an objective standpoint what day is the Sabbath. And they're going to circle on that calendar every time the 7th day of the week. They're going to do it every time. They're not going to they're not going to mark down Sunday at all. I've actually done it before. I've actually have tested that theory, and just to really say that's how you study objectively. Take your own self out of it. So if you're studying, here's the way. If you're studying, and I'll leave this with you, I'm going to have to run. But if you're studying eating clean, okay, and you believe, if you're studying what you can and cannot eat, and if you believe that you can eat pork, this is what you're going to do. You're going to go to 1 Timothy 4:4, and read just verse 4. Every creature of God is good and nothing to be refused if it be received with thanksgiving. And you're going to say, oh, there it is. All I got to do is pray for it. That's it. And then you're going to go to another scripture where Peter had a vision, and he saw all manner of four-footed beasts on a sheet, and it says, arise, Peter, kill and eat. Up there it is. God told Peter he can eat, rise and kill and eat. And then you're going to go over to Matthew, I think it's the 14th chapter, I can't remember, but you're going to read where Jesus says, it's not what goes into the mouth that makes you defiles the body, it's what comes out. And you're going to say, oh, there it is. So you have just taken several verses and you've taken them completely out of context because you're not reading the context of the story. You're not reading the perspective of the story. And when you do that, you do yourself a disservice. So I just wanted to leave that with you, how to study objectively. That's how I study. I hope that this tool of studying will help you when you do your studies.